In the first video of this series, the Amish have a better way to preserve meat. We've explored how the Amish preserve meat without a single watt of electricity, using salt, smoke, sugar, vinegar, and even rendered fat to keep their food fresh and flavorful. But where do they store all this carefully preserved meat, along with their fresh produce, dairy, and homemade goods? Welcome to the Amish version of a refrigerator, one that doesn't hum, break down, or rack up an electricity bill. Root cellars are one of their best-kept secrets, a time-tested way to keep food fresh for months using nothing but the cool, steady temperatures underground. Imagine stepping into a dimly lit, cool underground space lined with shelves of potatoes, onions, apples, and neatly stacked jars of canned meats. Hams and sausages hang from the rafters, aging gracefully, while the crisp air preserves every bite without a single flicker of electricity. It's not just practical, it's almost magical, a natural food vault that works in perfect harmony with the environment. The Amish have perfected this old-school technique, knowing exactly how to build and maintain root cellars that keep food fresh through the seasons. And here's the kicker, it's something anyone can do. Whether you're dreaming of greater self-sufficiency or just looking for a way to reduce food waste, learning the secrets of Amish root cellars might just change the way you think about food storage forever. So let's head underground and uncover how the Amish keep their food fresh naturally. Let's take a trip underground to one of the Amish's coolest, literally secrets, root cellars. These aren't just any storage spaces. They're like nature's own fridge, perfectly designed to keep food fresh without a single watt of electricity. Imagine stepping into a cool, dark room where the air feels crisp and rows of shelves are stocked with everything from potatoes to cured meats. Sounds like a scene out of Little House on the Prairie, right? But for the Amish, this is just everyday life. Root cellars work because they take advantage of the natural cool and humidity underground. Temperatures stay steady, hovering between 32 degrees Fahrenheit and 40 degrees Fahrenheit, making it ideal for storing food. It's like having a fridge that's always on, never breaks down, and doesn't add a dime to your electricity bill. The Amish are masters of root cellar construction. They know exactly how to keep their precious food safe from critters and spoilage. With careful ventilation and well-thought-out shelving, they've created spaces that are both functional and efficient. Walk into one of these cellars, and you'll find cured meats hanging from the rafters, potatoes stacked neatly in bins, and even apples that seem to get sweeter with time. And it's not just about the practicality, there's a bit of magic to it too. The cool, dark environment slows down bacterial growth and preserves food's natural flavors. It's like stepping back in time to a simpler way of living, where everything had its place and purpose. Of course, building a root cellar isn't as easy as digging a hole in the ground. Just ask my neighbor who tried to DIY his way into one and ended up with a muddy pit that became a raccoon party zone. The Amish, however, have perfected the art of making these spaces sturdy and efficient, keeping their food safe and the wildlife out. Root cellars aren't just for meats. They're also ideal for storing vegetables like carrots, beets, and onions. Some Amish families even create their own food pyramids, stacking meats and veggies together to maximize space. It's a bit like a treasure hunt. Open the door, and you never know what goodies you might find. The best part? Root cellars are sustainable, cost-effective, and built to last for generations. They're not just preserving food, they're preserving a way of life. So the next time you marvel at the convenience of your fridge, remember the Amish. They've been keeping food fresh, flavorful, and perfectly stored without a single power outlet. And honestly, there's something pretty inspiring about that. When winter rolls into Amish country, it brings with it one of their simplest yet most brilliant meat preservation tricks: outdoor freezing. Imagine stepping into a world where nature becomes your freezer, and all you need to keep meat fresh is a cold winter day. For the Amish, that's not just a seasonal perk. It's a tried and true method passed down for generations. Here's how it works. After a busy butchering season, Amish families prepare large cuts of meat and hang them outside, letting the freezing temperatures do the rest. It's like turning your backyard into a walk-in freezer, but without the electricity bills. The cold air naturally preserves the meat, keeping it safe to eat for weeks, even months. And let's be real, there's something pretty amazing about walking outside and grabbing dinner straight off the line. Of course, this method comes with its quirks. You've got to keep an eye on the weather. Too much snow or rain can ruin the meat, so the Amish cover their outdoor storage with breathable materials like burlap to keep everything dry. It's a simple but effective way to make sure their hard work doesn't go to waste. What's surprising is that freezing meat like this actually enhances its quality. Ice crystals form in the meat during freezing, breaking down some of the muscle fibers and making it tender when cooked. It's like a natural marinade, courtesy of Mother Nature herself. And when you finally sit down to a meal made with this meat, the flavor is out of this world. Now picture the scene. Amish kids bundled up in winter coats, running outside to check on the meat. Maybe there's a little sibling rivalry over who gets to carry the ham back inside. A snowball fight might even break out because, well, why not? It's not just about preserving food, it's about embracing the season and making memories along the way. What's truly impressive is how seamlessly the Amish have integrated this method into their daily lives. They plan ahead, ensuring they have enough meat to last through the cold months. It's not just a survival skill, it's a testament to their resourcefulness and ability to work with nature rather than against it. So, while most of us are cranking up the heat and stocking our freezers, the Amish are out there turning winter into their personal meat locker. And honestly, they make it look easy. Maybe it's time we borrowed a page from their playbook and let nature do the heavy lifting, because sometimes the simplest solutions are the most brilliant. Let's talk about one of the oldest and simplest ways the Amish preserve their meat: drying. This isn't just your average store-bought jerky kind of deal. For the Amish, drying meat is an art form, a tradition, and a survival skill all rolled into one. It's about turning simple cuts of meat into something that lasts for months and tastes incredible. Here's how they do it. Long strips of seasoned meat are hung in warm, dry spaces, like barns or even outdoors on sunny days. The natural airflow and warmth gently pull the moisture out of the meat, leaving behind a perfectly chewy, flavor-packed treat. It's like the Amish version of set it and forget it, but way more satisfying when you take that first bite. What's fascinating is how precise they are with the process. The Amish know exactly how to balance temperature and humidity to get the perfect result. Too much moisture left in the meat, and it's a recipe for mold. Too dry, and you've got something tough enough to double as a hockey puck. But when they get it just right, oh man, you're left with jerky that's tender, smoky, and bursting with flavor. And it's not just about snacking. This dried meat is versatile. The Amish often rehydrate it for soups and stews, turning what started as a quick snack into a hearty, warming meal. It's like getting two products in one, a savory multitasker that fits perfectly into their efficient way of life. Think about it. A handful of dried meat can fuel you for hours, whether you're working in the fields or just grabbing a quick bite during a busy day. It's the ultimate grab-and-go food, but without the flashy packaging or preservatives. In fact, some Amish families have been known to keep dried meat for years, stored carefully in jars or cloth bags. Now here's a fun mental image. Imagine walking into an Amish barn and seeing rows of meat strips hanging like edible laundry. It's a little surreal, but also kind of amazing. Each piece represents time, care, and generations of knowledge passed down. If you've ever struggled to chew through a piece of overly tough jerky from a gas station, you'll really appreciate what the Amish have perfected. Their version isn't just food, it's a tradition that connects them to the past and sustains them for the future. So, the next time you're enjoying a piece of jerky, take a moment to think about the craft and care that goes into the real deal, and maybe give a nod of respect to the Amish for keeping it alive. If there's one thing the Amish have mastered, it's the art of preserving food for the long haul. Enter pressure canning, a method so effective, it's like hitting the pause button on time. Imagine being able to store meat in jars that stay fresh for years. That's not just a skill, it's a superpower. The process is straightforward but requires a little finesse. The Amish carefully prepare cuts of meat, place them in jars, and then use a pressure canner to heat everything up to high temperatures. This intense heat kills off any bacteria and creates an airtight seal, locking in the flavor and ensuring the meat stays safe to eat. It's like capturing a homemade meal in a jar, ready to be unleashed whenever you need it. The results? Nothing short of amazing. That jar of pressure canned beef stew isn't just food, it's a lifeline during a busy week or a harsh winter. You pop open the lid, and it smells like it was cooked just yesterday. Whether it's chicken, beef, or even venison, the Amish know how to turn this method into an art form. Here's the best part. This isn't just about convenience, it's about survival. Properly canned meat can last anywhere from 3 to 5 years when stored in a cool, dry place. That's longer than most of us can keep a gym membership. And it's not just about longevity. The flavor is so rich and satisfying that it puts frozen food to shame. Picture this: a family gathered in the kitchen during canning season, sharing stories and laughter while filling jar after jar. It's more than just preserving meat, it's preserving tradition. Each jar represents a little piece of heritage, a connection to the past, and a step towards self-sufficiency. But don't let the simplicity fool you. This method takes practice. If you've ever tried canning yourself, you know the struggle of getting the seal just right. Too loose, and you're risking spoilage. Too tight, and good luck opening it without a crowbar. The Amish, though, they make it look easy because they've been doing it for generations. And let's not forget the practicality. Canning is a lifesaver during harvest season or when there's an abundance of meat to process. Instead of letting anything go to waste, they stock their shelves with jarred goodness that's ready to go whenever needed. It's like having a secret weapon in your pantry. So next time you're racing to the store for dinner ingredients, think about the Amish calmly grabbing a jar from their pantry. No stress, no last-minute runs, just the comforting knowledge that they've got a meal waiting for them. It's old-school wisdom that's as relevant today as it was generations ago. And honestly, who wouldn't want a little bit of that magic in their kitchen? Let's talk about salt, probably the most underrated kitchen essential. Most of us just shake it on fries or toss it into a pot of pasta water, but for the Amish, salt is a game changer. It's nature's original preservative, and they've turned it into an art form that's been passed down for generations. Here's the deal. Moisture is the enemy of fresh meat. Where there's moisture, bacteria thrive, and before you know it, your food's gone bad. That's where salt comes in. Think of it as a natural food protector. It pulls the moisture out, stopping bacteria in their tracks. The Amish understand this better than anyone, so when they cure meat, they don't skimp. They coat every inch, every crevice, making sure the salt does its job. It's like a deep cleanse for meat, except instead of fancy skincare products, you've got salt working its magic. And this isn't just a quick sprinkle and done kind of deal. There's a real method to the madness. The Amish carefully select their cuts, whether it's pork, beef, or even chicken, and make sure every bit is evenly packed with salt. The result? Meat that stays fresh for months and develops a deep, rich flavor you just can't get from store-bought products. Here's a fun little fact. The phrase "worth your salt" actually comes from ancient times when Roman soldiers were paid in salt because it was so valuable. Imagine getting your paycheck in salt instead of cash. The Amish still treat it with that same level of importance because for them, it's not just about keeping food from spoiling. It's about making it taste even better. I'll admit, the first time I saw the salt curing process, I was skeptical. Could something so simple really work? But once I tasted that perfectly preserved, flavor-packed meat, I was a believer. While the rest of us are filling our freezers and worrying about power outages, the Amish are out here using a centuries-old technique that works like a charm. So the next time you're shaking some salt on your fries, remember, it's not just a seasoning, it's a preservation powerhouse. And the Amish? They've mastered it. The Amish have shown us that preserving meat doesn't have to rely on modern technology. It just takes a little know-how and a respect for tradition. Whether it's sealing meat in lard, storing it in a root cellar, or using nature's freezer in the winter, their methods are simple, effective, and built to last. In a world where we're constantly looking for the next best gadget, maybe it's time to take a step back and learn from the past. After all, these techniques have stood the test of time for a reason. Who knows? The next time you're looking for a way to keep your food fresh, you might just find yourself reaching for a jar of rendered fat instead of a plastic container. Because sometimes the old ways really are the best ways.